big report in the state of Wisconsin coming out from the Department of Public Instruction. Hey, guess what? The status of teachers in Wisconsin post Act 10, it's worse than ever. It's horrible.
Mhm.
And boy, talk about the ability to kind of, bring some light to that. And again, Jack from Merrimack, love his call to talk about, helping illustrate too the difference between crossing a border into one state. We've been spending a lot of time, Johnny, talking about the, extolling the virtues of Michigan, and they're on the other side there of Wisconsin. So right now, people in Wisconsin, boy, I don't want to act, but there are models on both sides of you on how to actually restore and bring teaching back into the fold. And maybe too, by listening to Busted Pencils, we can get that motivation to continue going as people hear these stories. We hear from Jack, and again, Mrs. K was from Colorado, but the reality of the attack on teaching is to something to say it's an attack on democracy. And let's put that forward and realize here too, these are not teachers whining about, I don't have my chalk. This is actually about the fact that they are being deprofessionalized, shut down, turned away, and actively being told actually what you think about how to work, not even what you think, what you know about
Mhm.
good teaching, what you know about children, what you know about the community. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's out the door. We're not going to deal with that. Man, I'm ranting tonight. Sorry about that,
It's
everybody.
okay, Tim. You got
I
good
love it.
stuff to say, and
Preach.
and it's wonderful to have Educators Amplified again with us. I mean, every Wednesday, it's my favorite day of the week. One, because it's halfway through the week, but also because Teacher Joanna and Teacher Hallie are with us, and we had Teacher Mrs. K from Colorado last night, who talked about the ups and downs of teaching, and exactly like amplifies what Teacher Hallie was just sharing in this DPI report and all of this. Like, it is not it's never been easy to be a great teacher. It's not easy work. And Tim, I'll even push back against this a little bit because I know what everybody means when they say the professionalization of teaching, but I take a slightly unpopular opinion about this. Teaching has always been blue collar work. The unions
Mm,
have always had a really close relationship. So early on, the UAW giving space to Margaret Haley and the whole Chicago crew to say, together we are laborers. We can't fight for our rights as laborers without you teaching our children and doing the hard labor that you all do in classrooms. And so, I mean, teaching is a blue collar profession. And part of the elitism that exists through education, through schooling, is this idea that it's white collar, but it's always been a little bit of a hoodwink because teachers don't get white collar pay. They don't have white collar
mm,
status in our community. It is hard work. Teachers, we appreciate you, but we also know that it has gotten like harder and harder not to teach, but just
mm.
to be able to teach. Remember last night we were talking about, please just let me teach.
Exactly.
And Teacher Joanna the week before was like, I'm around people who are like, just let us teach. Like, let
Mhm.
us do
Mm,
the craft that we're so good at, that we are passionate about. And also,
Mhm.
hey, it's not too much to ask. Take care of us while we're doing it. And that's the thing that's missing. We are not, by and large, as state governments or as our text. We got a text that said another big reason teachers are leaving is school boards running the schools. And this is Tim who gave us a text. And I don't know if Tim, you're a teacher or not, but this is probably a sentiment that many of us feel. But I'm going to push back against this a little bit too. We need to really be active in our school boards because school boards can make a difference. And so vocal efforts on the school boards, more teachers. When you talked about what's happening in Michigan too, Tim, I don't want to say the grass is always greener on the other side of the
mm,
lake. I'm part of a teacher exodus from Michigan. There was an era where it got unbearable, right? I mean, my pay went down way significantly. The charterization of Detroit public schools, the loss of unions there was really tough. So these things can swing. And one of the things we heard about in Michigan that's happening related to school boards and related to legislation. And Tim, I think that's where you're going with, can Educators Amplified and Busted Pencils help amplify the voice of defenders of public education and those teachers who are like, let me teach, and say, legislators, hey, I think we need more teachers in legislation because Mitch, our guest a couple nights ago, said the tide is turning in Michigan because teachers are part of the
Hmm.
legislation. Teachers have gotten very active, not only in school boards, but at the state level. And that gives this opportunity for the government that is in power there to really to seize the moment. And he said there's almost a shorthand, an understanding that what we're doing is we're making it possible for good teaching to be done in the schools, which means children have better teachers that are taken care of, that are rested and enjoying and practicing their craft in a way that I think teacher Joanna would say maybe is more regulated than how most of us experience classroom. It's pretty brutal just to be able to teach.
I gotta say, your story is uplifting, but because years ago, Hallie and I would be like, and they want us to run for legislator? We're gonna do the school, we're gonna do it all, and we're gonna run for office? Like, come on. I get what you're saying, but right, Hallie, we've been through
Yeah.
that where we're like,
Oh,
how much of this are we expected to take on? Now, I get that you're saying like it's a contribution, but we have been contributing and advocating to legislators, to school boards, to administration steady. That's why Educators Amplified exists. And we've been asking these questions steady for 12 years. Will the erosion of our professional status be acknowledged? Will we get serious about reversing the trend? Will trust ever be a predominant energy in our workplace? Will professionals be compelled to stay in teaching over a course of a career? Will student learning and opportunity be impacted if high quality professionals continue to depart?
mhm.
So we're out here, we're gathered, we're saying that, but we get reports that kind of just crystallize what we've been saying, and we still don't have serious effort.
Action. Yeah.
Yeah, because that
And
DPI report is 13 years post Act 10, and I'm still like,
Right.
"Really? You came up with
Right.
salary and work-life balance is the problem?" Because to me, even work-life balance is offensive. Like, "Oh, poor ladies can't figure out how to do work and home." No, that's not what this is about. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like
well, and I want to back up because teacher Joanna, that's a really important point. It's for me to clarify. Referencing to like Margaret Haley was a teacher who this is so unique that like she started the teachers unions, and in order to do that, had to step away from teaching, and teachers had to support her. We can't just keep stacking this up on
Mm.
teachers. So what I'm thinking is like those reports. I'm wondering, did teachers make those reports? Are teachers in a position to say, this is what the report says, let's change things? And I think that's what Mitch was saying is part of what's special in Michigan right
Yeah.
now is that there are people who have been supported in their districts and in their community, or who are also part of this teacher exodus, because it's tough when you're a teacher to say, I can't afford, or my body cannot hold up staying in the classroom as is. It's a really conflicted decision to make, and when you make it, some of these teachers, they're supported to go into positions to say, enough is enough. Let's make the change. And I think that's what I hope that's what we're saying is like, we got to get there or nothing's going to change.